I'm sorry, YouTube. I haven't really been honest with you. What's up, YouTube? If you read the title of this video, I'm going to be dropping some truth to you. Uh, Obviously, whenever we get into trying to breed reptiles, or actually breeding anything, whether it be dogs, cats, snakes, lizards, whatever it is, people have this mentality that you're just going to make a lot of money off of it, get rich off of it. This is not a quick get rich scheme or anything like that. There's a lot of work that goes into this, and I want to make this video not to deter anyone, but to prepare people from knowing what they're getting themselves into. So obviously I've made remarks and stuff like that in other videos where I say, well, it's not for the faint of heart, or it's not just for anyone, and those are rats going crazy, probably breeding right now. So yeah, breed your rats, they said. It's gonna be nice, they said. This is like all day long. All day long. All day long. Alright, so when you get into breeding reptiles, I'll just go with that. When you get into breeding reptiles, there's a lot of upfront costs that come with keeping these reptiles. So whether it be bearded dragons that you're keeping, or ball pythons, or Ackie monitors, or even if you're just breeding rats, the thing is, there's a lot of upfront costs. It's going to be enclosures, it's going to be food, it's going to be lighting, it's going to be heating, whatever it is. If it's not going to be in your house, then you have to also have a building separate from your house that you're going to have. Why are they being like this? But you're going to have a building separate from your house where you're going to have to keep all this stuff. So that building's going to be a lot of money as well. So I tell you this because there's a lot of people that have been messaging me and all this, and I'm going to make videos to teach people, but I also want to make a video to prepare you. So while I got you, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also, there's a giveaway video up here. I'll be doing 2 giveaways at 1,000 subscribers. Also, I have YouTube membership now, and I also have a Patreon. The link of the Patreon is in the description down below. The membership is $4.99 for YouTube, and you get 5% off on my website, and you also get exclusive videos where I would be making like DIY PVC enclosures, DIY rat racks, and a bunch of other stuff that's strictly just for members. And on Patreon, you get the same videos, but the tiers come with different things. So you just gotta go check it out yourself. So yeah. I tell people all the time, yeah, if you produce this and this and that, and you can have, $5,000-$10,000 clutches. Sounds great. But most people don't have the upfront money that they need to make those $5,000 to $10,000 clutches. They only have the upfront money to make $1,000 clutches. That's not the same. I'll put it to you this way, and I'll start putting the numbers up on the screen like this so you can see it. I bought 2 animals. Let's just go with this example. I bought 2 animals, $500 total. Actually, you know what? I'll give you 2 examples. One for ball pythons and one for bearded dragons. So I'll do the ball pythons on this side and the bearded dragons on this side, and I'll leave it up. That way you can see it as I'm talking about it. So on the ball python side, I bought 2 animals for $500. These are proven breeders. They're adults, but they're only co-doms and dominant morphs and stuff like that. So there's no recessives involved at all. Let's say it's banana and I don't know, cinnamon. Let's just go with banana and cinnamon, which honestly look great in my opinion. But so banana, cinnamon, $500 for the parents. You have to wait a season to breed them because most likely you're not going to get the female right before she's ovulated and everything else. So most likely the person that sold it to you is probably waited to breed her themselves and then wait until after they laid a clutch. So you're not going to be able to get anything out of this season. Those 2 animals, so you've already spent $500 on. Now, the enclosure and the housing, however you want to do it, whether it be a rack or anything like that. The rack, let's say you make your own rack, $500. You're at $1,000. This rack is going to hold the 2 adults, and it's going to hold 12 babies. And the reason I say 12 babies, even though average is 6, is because average is 6. They could have 2 babies. They could have 14. So 12 is obviously going to hold at least any average clutch that you get from your ball python. And if she's a proven breeder, she most likely will lay more than 6 or around 6 eggs every clutch. So you're already at $1,000 just from the animals and the housing. Now for the entire year, let's say you're feeding your snakes once a week or every 2 weeks, however you decide. And let's go with the example of $2. So for a whole year, let's just go with the whole year, 52 weeks times $2. That is $104 per snake. So that's $208 that you've already spent on feeding the 2 snakes plus $1,000 you've already had up front. And that's before you make any money. So that's already $1,200 that you've already spent on these 2 snakes before you've made any money. And like I said, most people don't have a lot of money to start up front. So this is $500 as a basic. I mean, if you're really planning on getting into it, that's a pretty good startup. $500, $1,000, $1,200, that's pretty good. And you're going to be like, well, I don't even have $1,200. And this is where I'm getting to. So with $1,200, you've got everything settled for the ball python project that you want. And let's say you get 6 eggs out of that clutch, and on average, because you can get some normals in there, you can get some cinnamons, you can get some bananas, and the bananas could range $150 to $200. The cinnamons could be $100, and the normals could be $75, and then the banana cinnamons, let's say those are $250. So on average, let's say you made $150 per, and that puts you at $900 that you just made off the babies. Remember, you spent $1,200, so you're out $300, and this is going to be the entire first season. So this is after a whole year that you've made, a whole year that you've lost $1,200. You've only made $900. Yeah, the second year is going to be a little bit better because the second year you're also making $900, and that puts you at $1,800 total for 2 years, and you've only spent $1,200 on getting everything up to where it's at. But remember, you're also going to be spending another $204 on that year for the second year. So now it's up to $1,400. So I'm putting it all right here, so you're seeing it as I'm talking about it. Now for the bearded dragon people, I'm going on this side over here. So the bearded dragons, let's say, same scenario, you buy a male and a female that are already adults, proven breeders. Another $500, because usually, at least for me, you can find a male proven breeder for about $200 and a female proven breeder for about $300 if their genetics aren't, like the best, right? Obviously, for me, my females, whenever I do sell proven breeders, my females start around $700 to $1,000, depending on the genetics, and the males around $300 to $600, depending on the genetics. So obviously, this is subpar genetics. Is not great. It's not terrible. It's good. It's just gonna get you there. $500 for the 2 enclosures. Let's say you spend, because let's say you get some Dubia enclosures, Dubia.com enclosures. Those are going to run you $150 a piece. That's $300 plus lighting and everything. Another $200. There's another $500. You're at $1,000 on your bearded dragon project already. The entire year before, obviously, with bearded dragons is a little bit different. But I always say that if you never had bearded dragons before, and this is your first set of bearded dragons, wait a year before you breed, because you don't want to make sure you're doing all your research and be prepared. So let's say an entire year you wait. So all of the feeding that you got to do for an entire year. Let's say greens, bugs, and everything else that you got going on, you're probably spending another $200 on that project as well. So that's $1,200 just to get them up to the first year where you're going to be breeding them. Bearded dragons is different. With bearded dragons, you actually can get 20 eggs on average, and they can lay 3 clutches on average. So let's say you get 60 eggs that entire year, and on average, you're probably going to have $100 bearded dragons. It could be anywhere from $50 to $200, let's say, for this particular combination of hypos and trans. So $100 is your average. So that's $6,000. Great. That's the best you could probably do, right? $6,000 minus the $1,200, that puts you at $4,800. Here's where it gets tricky. My bearded dragon clutches, and I only feed dubia roaches. I don't feed nothing else. So if you're someone else that wants to do like crickets because it's cheaper, by all means, great. Just know that it's probably going to lead to problems in the long run, because crickets do increase the parasite level in the bearded dragons. And if baby bearded dragons get parasites, that's lethal. There's nothing you can do about it. So just keep that in mind. So with dubia roaches, I'm easily spending usually consecutively I have about 4 clutches. Right now I actually have 8 because I miscalculated how many clutches a female is going to lay. So yeah, right now I have 8 clutches, and I'm spending about $300, maybe $400 a week on bugs. So that's $1,200 that you spent on food. So that puts you from $4,800 down to $3,600. This is not taken into consideration the housing probably you're going to have to do for your baby bearded dragons, because it's a lot more work than ball pythons. So if you're doing a custom rack, you're probably spending $600 on that custom rack. There you go, down to $3,000 for the entire year. And that's not considering any costs that you may have, like vet bills or anything like that. $3,000 for the entire year that you just made from two bearded dragons. Wow, that sounds great. That sounds amazing. The thing is, it is not as easy as it may seem. Even with the ball pythons, it's not as easy as it may seem to sell those $50 to $200, or that $100 all the way to $250, whatever it is. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. If you don't have a following, if you aren't producing things people want to buy, if you aren't going to be doing things ethically, if you aren't going to be putting yourself out there, going to reptile shows, vending reptile shows, and that's another thing. Anytime you vend at a reptile show, you're usually spending $30 to $60 on the table. Every time. So, and if you don't make any money and you got to drive and all that, you literally just lost more money. So that $3,000 could easily become $1,000 if you can't sell what you want to sell at reptile shows. If you're going to reptile shows, you know, you're just, let's say you're spending $60 at the table and $40 for gas. You just easily spend $100 at that show. And let's say you're doing a show every 2 weeks. You know, for eight months, every 2 weeks, that's $1,600 that you just spent. So that's easily putting you down to at least, you know, $1,400 that you made off your dragons. You know, great. At that point, what are you really doing at that point? You're not doing anything. So this is what I do. This is what I try to tell people. I try to tell people, well, if you're going to get into this, get into it deep. Don't just get into it and say, oh, I'm only spending $200. You're not going anywhere with spending $200. You got to go and spend $1,500. That's where you're going to get the money. I try to explain it. I say, well, look, the same scenario. If you spent $1,500 on the parents, those parents make you, you know, $10,000. The cost is going to be the same. The expenses are going to be the same. It costs the same amount of money to feed those animals. So if you spend more, you're only going to be making more. That's just, and like I said, I've made these videos and I've made remarks and stuff like that telling people it's not that easy, but you can make money and all that. Yeah, of course you can make money. You can make money doing anything. People can go do real estate. Real estate ain't easy. Real estate is hard, but you can make a whole bunch of money in real estate. But that's just how things are. People want to make quick money. I mean, that's not how it's going to work. You can't go and turn $500 into, you know, $6,000 without any consequences, without any expenses. Especially, you really can't do that. So that's all. Hopefully this put it into perspective for a lot of people. And hopefully you understand a little bit that you got to save up. Don't just start in this and $200. Save up. Save for like 6 months and start at $2,000. You know, that even though you save for 6 months, that $2,000 purchase that you're going to be making in 6 months is going to make you a whole lot of more money than that $200 purchase that you're making right now. So, yeah, sometimes it is better to wait. But don't wait too long because somebody else could beat you to it. So, with that said, I appreciate you if you made it this far into the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything that I put out in the future. And as always, peace.